control, divine appointment, natural selection, chosen few, promised land, cornucopia. First, bugles send wake-up call to arms fanfare to command every megaphone, to command all hearing trumpets, to command any tornado to A. Airlift siphon the conical and pointed mollusk spinning tops from out of the marine brackish and freshwater whirlpools. Then B. From out of the anthills and wishing wells to airlift siphon the cup and horn fungi, lichen and escargot spinning tops. Again, bugles send wake-up call to arms fanfare to command every megaphone, to command all hearing trumpets, to command any tornado. Next to C. Parachute blitz this cargo of conical and pointed mollusk and cup and horn, fungi, lichen and escargot spinning tops on their merry way through skylight, trapdoors and upper mezzanines of taper funnel spouted Saharan chimney, Babel tower, volcano mineshaft, crater kilns. Then to roll and to tumble and to cascade and to circle downwards along forever widening Archimedean corkscrew threaded Fibonacci spiral staircase and inner hairpin road that wind and that twist and that curve and that bend, embarking upon a fact-finding, mission impossible, voyage of discovery, journey of a lifetime, awfully big adventure to the centre of the Earth's core, led by unicorns, hunting for the Holy Grail. Antimatter, after dark, starfucker, o-pti-minous amouro-u-sity. Bugbear, superhero villain, wearing costume of around-the-clock, devouring ingestive greedy guts abyss and generously dispensing faucet. Awakens out of fitful slumbers and goes down the stairs for a constitutional stroll of devotion to pay respects, dues and votive offerings, as well as receive advice laid from vehicle symmetry, geometric polyhedron and intuitive biomorphic organic freeform impromptu growth plaza courtyard, in preparation and psyching up before impending appointment with Thea at patiently awaiting preordained place. Shuttle ferry service of tightrope catwalk offered by white light vapours, foam liquid and insoluble chalky velvet powdered dust, with mother of pearl crust and lactating tear glands and ducts, carries fare over sluggish, stagnant, wet cement sludge as a door-to-door express special delivery gift for demonic corporate industrial estate showbiz entertainment music hall. Behind the scenes, action action replay outtakes. Begun all over again, starting completely from scratch, picked up as of whence left off last. Low down and background, main cast and wardrobe and accessories etc. staying to same drill as before. The reservation on double-booked community centre, youth club, scouts hall, backyard, toilet, broom cupboard runs its course, going over time, at complete odds and cross purposes with other, needless to say lesser, models and causes, placing demands on the same slot. As can be expected, dependent devotee disciple entourage don't give up that easily and without a fight. Although, surprisingly, under directions from mentor guru puppeteer, they call a ceasefire, wave truces ensue for peace, then take the stage set scenery down with the fresh wet paintwork still running and smudged, dismantle and put it away with everything else they've switched off and disarmed for due removal and return to rightful owners someday, perhaps, undecided as yet. During this leading to surrender and power handover, sadly without proper speeches or ritual due to lack of time, the new arrivals await around for their turn, becoming an event or meeting in itself, introducing themselves to mentor guru puppeteer and dependent devotee disciple entourage. Approach is met with little or no reply, and begin their intended activities as best they can, running behind intended schedule, with several different usages going on at once, owing to pressures that rules are rules where time limits are concerned, though in breach of regulations as to maximum numbers. Having thus got everything ready and out of the way, dependent devotee, disciple entourage and mentor guru puppeteer bid the newcomers farewell, wishing them the best of luck, some even exchanging contact details for later. One major exception to the norm here is intervals between acts provide no lame excuse for lazily taking an idle break. Never a dull moment with some, is it? There's no getting out of it that easily. The revellers, still dependent devotee disciple entourage, loyally following leadership of mentor guru puppeteer beyond the bitterest end, continue their festivities on foot. This scripted race procession gets off to one big false start. Their route takes in every meander, wrong turning, diversion, sidetrack, detour, and U-bend along the way. Then passes straight through otherwise dead-end, blind alley, tunnel vision cul-de-sac. Expedition now complete, but gloriously triumphant victors arrive back home at last. Somewhere along the way, they cross paths and rub shoulders with certain opportunistic thieving magpies, without incident, each side hardly noticing the other, and not paying great attention anyway. Expedition now complete, but glorious triumphant victors arrive back home at last. Yes, that's right, the scholarly and learned study, with private personal reference library, set up in occupying commandeered pantry, generously indefinite loan with support from charitable patronage donor, no less. Little do they guess, suspect, or know. Venturing onward, no thought is given to what lies ahead. How could it ever, though? Proceeding further inside, they, none other than dependent devotee, disciple, entourage, and mentor, guru, puppeteer, the very same, who else would it be then, become aware of acute changes in difference having happened, distinctly felt and present, yet evasive to detection and naming. Household context is no longer as it was beforehand anymore, showing signs of being altered, moved away, having gone missing and being replaced. A persistent sense that similar processes continue on the increase refuses to depart, but equally defies easy identification and therefore accepted proof. Syndrome, whereby theatre, film, TV script instructions break out into stories, dies down, becomes weak, getting rarer until reaching near extinction, then superseded by other altogether. Much here will never be anything like the same way they were once ever again. What next? To find that out requires waiting around for any sequel or conclusion there may be. Unless this is it. Secret, Liaison Hideaway Airspace, amoeba, joinery, simple growth. Greeted by coincidentally laid-on festivities, coming out into the light of day, finding their way back the way they came, the visitors return, many times over at that, having seen all the sights there are to be seen. Perfectly completing everything, thrown in for good measure, with lifeboats, cabins, gangways and engine rooms. With a touch of stern fortress, naval port and aircraft carrier battleship, but fallen ancient civilization and empire, throwback to advanced seaside holiday resort, popular entertainment venue, and open-air swimming baths, all in all. To happily drift, float, ramble, swim and waft about in, extracted from their natural habitat, preserved inside clear blue sky, housing the only ever known real live faint clouds to be held in captivity. Ultimate jewel in the crown is a vivarium tank, beamed through four-sided tubular chutes, ducts and pipes. A mesh of strategically positioned grills channel traffic of cargo deliveries to order and commuters on pilgrimage alike, far exceeding capacity of actual size limits, consumed and taken up by impenetrable obstacle races and assault courses, every space. Behind wafer-thin partitions, while whole wide continents are walled up in cramped cupboards, the most unfathomably deep of walls contain narrow and low mouse holes, with many intermediate transitional landmarks and milestones along the way, whatever unfindable however that turns out to be, helpfully indicated and pointed out, clearly by everywhere else, meandering in digressional direction and route arrives at terminal destination of arrow-shaped room somewhere, all opening inwards on into somewhere far larger than enclosure occupied, each frame touching onto the next one, usually tending to be more or less free doors. The movable and itinerant centre can and will end up anywhere. Everywhere turns up unexpectedly anywhere, because sooner or later so is getting lost, but then again getting to or simply pinpointing anywhere is impossible. But completely unclear as to how or why, everywhere leads towards and connects up with somewhere else, one way or another. Then leads to go somewhere else, approach and linger a while, entrances, exits and the places themselves. Take it everywhere slowly and go nowhere fast, climb up and down stairs, pass through moving monastic hospital corridors and tunnels. Always on the move, shift in transit, travel about, all chambers and their contents. Long very force still stays, always same, remains ever that nowhere is there. Finite end to it all, or happy ever after, middle, somewhere in between, was not and never will be any beginning to start with. There is no around here. The housing that shows off these treasures, valeted for conversion as cabinet niche and display vitrines, toolkit cases, transfer into fireplace hearths, providing raw material reserves and specialised equipment with which to draw, engrave, sculpt and paint one marble after another, loosening gaseous and liquid powdered gold as they do so, unearth and revive fossil fuel light, motion and sound sources. Members of both personnel stumble upon that whole episode, got out of the way and put behind them. Without incident, fortunately, introduce themselves and are brought together. They meet up halfway between. Neighbours, they're up clean and out dig, involved sides, different to the pitted against, complete odds against the other, despite each serving cross purposes. At the same time, nearby, unaware of what the others are doing, these separate parties carry on regardless, heading straight ahead toward the same direction, tunnelling through, cut, bore, pound, grind and hack, chisel, file, hammer, pickaxe, hatchet, shovel, drill and saw, coming from opposite end. Atmosphere through slice and thick on it lay blades flat, mixed up with still more to fortify, build and make new harvested, and earns interest to be spread and rubbed back in. Ensuing produce is gathered up, whilst sink plunger unblocks plumbing and drainage, then mop and bucket to wash and polish, for sponge to soak up and toweling to dry out. Rough scouring pads and harsh detergents thoroughly scrub them down, stuck onto mid and thin air worktop surfaces, scrape off and clear away, protectively layered coatings of dirt left behind, broom dustpan with brush and feather duster sweep up, laying down the foundations and paving the way forward, still are and ever will be, by spring cleaning operation. Has always been, original discovery and ongoing reinvention was. Also, curves, arcs and circles, sometimes, as well as cubic and rectangular holes and lumps. Each single one of them grown out of, built up from, broken down as, cut up into and taken apart, leaving triangular gaps and solid wedges, before ending up staying like that forever, agreeing to recline and lie flat down backwards, all of their sides, heads and toes touching onto and joined with those of the rest. Opaque filled in hollowed out crystal mountain, resinous jelly, great pyramid and upholstered marquee tent, lopsided, asymmetrically irregular and the whole lot, once crossed paths and came together, for, as age-old legend has it, this very day reenacts itself to time-honoured tradition. This was the very spot where, just what the doctor ordered all along, yet it all turns out to be the very breakthrough needed. They arrive at entirely the wrong address, misdirections and changes of plans, after many false starts having no goal or mission to begin with, helping them find their way back to drawing board square one again afterwards, laying snail trail of chords behind them, all roped together so they don't lose track of each other. Intrepid expedition committee sets out on a mystery quest. Delphic-Oracle, self, service, help desk, chat line, call center, cross-eyed, squinting, earth-moving equipment, misses intended moving targets on passing assembly line. Instead, die cuttings straight from out of the very conveyor belt. Then, lathe turning, fitting, slotting and steering, confetti, motif, toyed into shape and place. Outcome, becoming automated building block patchwork marquetry. Every single erasure, correction, experiment, improvement, addition and change inflicted and occurring during preparatory development and production era comes out, shown up with a vengeance in final end result. Incognito and camouflage misregistration, double exposure, superimposing and overlap cause indistinct, ambiguous uncertainty, especially amongst their own number, even more than when with others. Everybody, everything, everywhere gets far too easily mixed up, confused and mistaken, so that from anyone to the next there's no difference between any one of them or any way to distinguish anyone from another. Pure and raw tricks of the light and sleight of hand enjoy playtime and fooling around with jigsaw puzzle maps. However, extreme caution is observed, exercised and enforced, because it only takes one false move, some removal away or extra contribution too many, and they all fall apart and collapse down. Flea circus of Monopoly game, Lucky Charm trinkets, tiptoe, leapfrog and hopscotch. Seek out, land upon and press whatever touch-sensitive press button, flick switch, stepping stones lie buried, hidden and lost. That's somewhere, more or less, underneath cobbled streets, paving, riverbed, and deep-sea forest floor. Once controls found, struck and activated, mass detonation set off. Mobile weather vane and windmill carousels of road signs set and pose problems, make inquiries, ask vague questions, and offer cryptic clues. Arrows, indirectly, point to ultimate whereabouts and decoding of encrypted solutions and answers. Morse code and semaphore shadowgraphy spell out deaf and dumb hand signals, secret message, braille, small print, rotation scores. Partial advice and assistance dispensed towards data entry, coupon filling. Gossamer Feather-Light Aircraft, heavyweight, wooden, stony and metallic bird. 1. To begin with, around middle axle, spokes turn. Both middle axle and spokes are inside outer ring of runaway flywheel. All three of them, middle axle, spokes and outer ring of flywheel, climb up and down along back and front of every single run on unattended step ladder. When middle axle, spokes and outer rim of flywheel rest to take a break, every single run on step ladder slides back and forth. 2. At the drop of a hat, gaming token ammunition, each, just only one of so many others, are fired and shot out of cannons, pushed and thrown about by players competing in tournament, getting dropped right into the deep end, landing on any given point. There is another reason for all this. Gaming token ammunition serves purposes of decision making and option finalization in matters of air clearance, water testing, new ground breakthrough and board treading. Also, secret wishes are made, hopefully bringing good luck, before sending gaming token ammunition on their way. Wherever gaming token ammunition gets stationed, revolving door water mills greet them, that they can enter and even jump to or from by themselves on their own accord and free will. 3. With time, middle axle, spokes and outer rim on flywheel gradually straighten out and become increasingly geometric, constantly coming apart, falling into pieces, then put back together again. Every single rung on step ladder, as well as the supports on either side, curves, going wavy, eventually bent over backwards, until both top and base reach, meet and join up in a ring, forming a perfectly round, unbroken circle. Teamwork between the two continues as middle axle, spokes and outer rim of flywheel stand to attention, almost motionlessly still, sometimes quivering slightly or running on the spot, but never simply riding, changing from being on top of and underneath every single rung on step ladder, spinning ever faster, reaching breakneck speed. The missing link these seemingly unrelated developments hold in common equals precious metal and lapidary jewellery cogs, moving loose without attachments to anything at all, chance-driven, perpetual motion machine prominently on show, exclusively in window displays appearing at and available from all good and only the very best of chic, select and upmarket department stores everywhere. Veterinary, mascot, zoo, amputated, spare parts, transplant, munitions-dump, armaments breakout. Unwatched cauldron overheats and boils dry, prizing off lid. Resurrected and amnestied roadkill stew staggers onto the cutting room floor. Introduced to forgotten, discarded, unwanted and filleted out, off-cast and reject, ones that got away, lying around, only looking forward to disposal, left down and out on a limb, with no hope and nothing really left to do, except, that is, for glue, stitch, rivet, nail and weld with their fellow companions. Brought right back from the dead straight into the land of the living again, with more than just one sting in the fast-beating, arrow-headed cat-o'-nine-tails. The barrel that held them becomes ladybird beetle, snail, tortoise shell, casing chest, torso and stomach. Fitted gas piping, waterworks, plumbing, electricity, cable installations and engine components are intestinal organs. Noble and distinguished hero and genius reef-crowned portrait bust, boasting opera-glass binoculars and flashing beacon torchlight 20/20 vision eyesight, rightfully takes pride of place as hunting trophy figurehead, sprouting tufts, horns and antlers, studded collar surrounds telescopic giraffe neck. Respiratory baleen, gill and nostril air holes hyperventilate furiously. Satellite and radar compatible ears, whiskers and antennae receive and transmit signals. Tree bark and knothole lipped, omnivorously scavenging hungry, tusked jaw beak. Bears rapier fangs, flopping out forked tongue whilst spitting fire. Former chair and table furniture arms and legs achieve weightlifting feats and ambidexterity. Serrated blade pincer, claw, talons with elbow, wrist, knee and ankle joints. Burrs, as well as finger and toe digit webbing. Snatch and strike out. Cloven hooves scrape and paw at the ground, impatient but slowly. Inquisitive snake, tentacle, elephant trunk, from tendril, root, branch, sensors. Start to gently brush, stroke, caress, curl round, bind and constrict, evenly applying firm pressure. Then probe anything touched and held on to. Propulsion paddles navigate along, steering rudder fins balance steadily. Wings patched up and cobbled out of ragged, threadbare and ruffled feathers spread from shoulders. Around the back, peacock fan spreads open and waves. Below, overcrowded undercarriage bears strain superbly, proudly showing off wares on display as dairy farm multiple udders sag. Quivering Titanic battering ram pumps iron, clenching sledgehammer-headed fist that escapes short sleeve, meeting chin and mouth. Rocks in sack push thighs wide apart, unable to close. raging, blast furnace, oven, stove, blazes, undoused by sluice weir, itself staying unfried. Adhesive see an enemy, ingests and dispenses excess loads. Both these latter two features turn fully inside out. Sheer bulk of vital statistics defies restraint from imprisoning corset, bodice, petticoat, belt, although not offering vulnerably inviting exposure, because heavily barbed porcupine quill, cactus spike, rose thorn, sea urchin, thistle prickle stilettos, poking through all over, backed up by ever-ready scorpion venom, squid, octopus, cuttlefish, hydrant, nozzle, are warning signs self-defense security system, guaranteed to deter, fend off, hold at bay and send packing would-be predators. Messy, careless and wasteful sprung leaks, drip, pour, spill and splash produce outwards. Not much later, single-handedly sires formed and laid eggs hatch out, giving birth to misaligned offspring, fledgling litter of more of the same. Demonic cherub, serif and gargoyle kindergarten is reared, rapidly attaining adulthood, becoming parents themselves, start families, and raise young of their own. Complete at last, hastily fastening up matted, overgrown, unkempt and straggly leather skin and fur coat, before stockpiling hardware tool weapons until armed beyond the teeth. From the tops of masts, red flags fly up, wave about and drop down nearby. The very moment Trojan cavalry herd waited for all along. Firstly, roaring out fierce primeval battle cry, then without saddle or bareback rider, rearing up, getting set free and let out on the loose to charge, gallop and race. Flywheels and pistons working at full blast, sail, steam and speed ahead. Trailing comet, rocket, jet and dust clouds behind. Making up for lost time, catching up on missed opportunities, hell-bent on a crash course grand tour, taking in short cuts through one genteel, precious souvenir curio gift shop and high security bank after another. Defossilization. Restful zone. Landmass. Subcontinent. And absolutely nothing else whatsoever. Only not some mere deceased or inanimate unit or slab, but a sleep and dreaming hybrid cross between stainless steel, cast iron and fortress rock face, with flameproof pack ice worked into the mix. Resist and immune against fire and burn, so meant never defrost, thaw out, softness, molten or liquefy. Manufacturing base depot, original source from which Arctic and polar sub-zero freeze factor conditions get born, exhaled breath sent long distance, straight through any solid barrier that obstructs progress during the course of their duty. Usually, or forever, mostly or always, more or less, the very same. Until change and difference starts, stirring, begun deep within, before outward spread, reaching far away, advent of soul, awareness, conscience, self, perception and drive. Dormant free will erupts. Next comes room temperature warmth and real body heat. Fast joined by newfound sensations, feeling and emotion. At first, numbness, then discomfiture, pain, surprise, shock, pleasure, joy and amazement. Soon following our energy, movement, action and ability. Flesh, blood and muscles take over and replace predecessor. Heavy duty industrial strength forces survive, increase and multiply. Previously unbroken interior becomes infinitely divisible into household contents. Artery veins, self-assembly components, spare parts and upgrades, intestinal organs, electronic circuitry and wiring, central nervous system, equipment and weaponry, toolkits, all slotted together and climbing around supported skeleton bones and armature scaffolding. Full usage enjoyed of every functional and operative faculty and resource. Metamorphic and evolutionary terrain. Living, hyperactive, invincible, omnipotent. Actually being an endless state of growth, mutation and advancement. No simple facade and complexion or even fixed place, unlike flat and shallow decoration and armour. Vast expanse refuses to settle down, cast anchor or plant roots. Instead, flowing onwards, ahead, along ground passed over and fed off. Above and beyond passive and dependent travel and consumption, true agency and cause for alchemical and transformative influence and reform, on everywhere, ever briefly gone and flash visited. Supreme and ultimate organic life form and superpower deity, rather than just another geological and engineering party trick and gimmick. Equally, one almighty deluge, earthquake, tidal wave, plague, storm and populace. Immortal traces left behind by silence and loss. Solid matter spreads ever-deepening chasm. Haunting ghost patrols turn over stepped and trodden footprints, make impact, add up and pile high into one flat cloud expanse. Stain, burn, rust and debris wound deposits, reinforce, multiply and fossilize. Joined together, eternal sheets divide equally. Ensuing folds hover freely, float. Hang loose, rest, press down, push, stretch tight and adhere. Stacks, compress, becoming single vast unit. Special duty multitasking force field enacts spring clean and exorcism regime. Their labours and input erased. Dismantle and remove endless skin. Darkness and shadows gradually fade, bleach, rinse and wash off. Surface heated, drying and pure. Actual agent and cause of cleansing and hygiene. Case study specimen examples subjected to scrutiny, inspection and memorizing. precision engineering Gossamer weightlifting efforts unravels infinite scroll. Slowly, pages turn over. Sometimes, white ribbon preserved floral bush bookmarks save and keep place reach that in epic and generative story. Archaeological clue, hunt and forensic evidence buried treasure search begun. Tireless exploration, discovery and inventing follows. Many finds made, much insight gleaned. Strict policy insists fresh layers be planted as replacement for every extraction taken. Even though former stock gets put back, returned to the very same source come from, exactly where and how they were before. Diagnoses, verdict, findings arrived at, filed under categorical entry, according to standard procedures, held in storage, awaiting future reference and usage later on. Input and pressure takes toll, substance wears away until nearly all but used up. Surviving floorboards, panelling and brickwork fall, cut, split, tear and break apart. Stripped length, scraped shavings, broken rubble, crushed powder, ground dust. Smouldering ash and smokestack perform vanishing trick, disappearance act. Any remainders swept under the carpet. However, unavoidable and overwhelming presence survives, intact and invincible. Fate affords harmonically kept, perfect timing and unhindered progress. Upgrade and reinforcement means expanding contents held overloads. Host space soon outgrown, which undergoes constrictive shrinkage and collapsing implosion anyway. Both factors combined endanger themselves, each other, and all else with certain extinction. Somehow, those nearby narrowly escape, but only just in time. Once momentum is built, speed gained increases. Amidst almighty blinding flash, long overdue and belated delivery arrives. New energy and power brought. Nursery world. Somewhere, way beyond the furthermost surviving and rejected leftovers from the recently departed past. It is known full well and often played upon, but kept top secret, never discussed openly, that there lie remnants of a long since lost pre-era, been and gone, even before then, occurring in a non-space, apart from all others, by now just about completely forgotten, only almost barely remembered, and yet learnt off by heart, forever thought of and felt for, no matter how far away. Despite justified preferability and every single universal desire, dream, urge, hope and wish being really always about them, they are not necessarily innocent, safe and enjoyable by any means. Although the pragmatic and functional desperate need to escape and abandon this side and end of things in favour of reaping benefits and improvement offered elsewhere far outweighs any mere threat or real risk. However, enforced terms of strictly no thoroughfare, all entry forbidden, out of bounds, off limits, keep out, apply inflexibly throughout, as well as it being nearly impossible, or at least severely difficult, to find and return to this earliest time and distant place again, whether for short-term visits or a permanent one-way trip. Anyway, such expeditions themselves are fraught with treacherous conditions, problematic setbacks and threatening dangers. Plus, an outcome of empty-handed disappointment is a sure likelihood, if nothing worse, rather than anything else, more adverse, happening. When and wherever they actually went to and are hidden, banished into exile, how and if that can ever be reached. The seductive, haunting attraction and irresistible lure is infectious and addictive. All those who get involuntarily drawn, held and caught by the grip and clutches of the imprisoning embrace fall into and stay put under unbreakable and reversal-proof charmed, curse, magical spell, damnation and enchantment. Constantly, optimistic hope and belief in promises of closeness to hand, awaiting around the next corner, any moment now, proved to be near miss after near miss. Nonetheless, reliable evidence suggests everything there has stayed the same, well preserved, without change, as they were left. But also, probable certainty that upon discovery and arrival, instead of the customary warm and generous welcome back and homecoming reception expected, entry and membership is subject to selective and conditional acceptance policies. Still, not without loopholes, of course. Standstill, Voyage-Of-Discovery, on a spot. Compressed, portable, fold-out, bijou continent. Cause, origin, source, genesis. Lightweight floating ballast elephant's graveyard. Stowaway mutineers. Born and bred, thrown overboard, lost, buried, or at sea. Lifesaver, death trap, coast guard, decoy, awaits. Namely, drifterwood, attractive, magnetic, adhesive, glue, absorbent sponge. Target, luring many times over much more of the very same, to join what's already there as extra contributory additions. Contraband, freight, cargo, washed ashore, crash landing, high and dry, stranded. Upon delivery and arrival, anchor cast, mooring found, roots laid, foundations planted. There follows widespread growth, breeding, multiplication and takeover. Alpine rockery and topiary bonsai jungle mutually fuel and reinforce each other. Assembly kit form self-build scheme enacts instruction manual. Unused off-cast spare part ribs basket woven into ramshackle and makeshift clinker-built shipwreck life raft chalet settlement. Log cabin flame-proof bonfire. Spun cable table links everywhere together. Constant tightrope, catwalk, suspension bridge, stepladder, staircase, implant, armature, exoskeleton, scaffolding, dry stone wall, stepping stones, balancing act. Somehow or other, belonging and function simply happens, where and however they were always destined to end up, as much component units by themselves as members of vast, complex mass. Any single spare part moved away or taken out forces all the rest to collapse, domino topple and chain react. Shifting just one fixture shall pull and knock the others out of place. The entire lot dislodged and fallen apart. Mortise, hinge, multiple jointed, marionette, puppet doll populace becomes the outpatient and resident inmate menagerie and crew that nest and blossom on and around treehouse and roof garden, built up afforestation and overgrown settlement. Penthouse suites face the view of all below them, underneath as well, then far beyond from there. Window box, convoy pack, armada, herd, squadron, swarm, parade, flock, team, shoal. Regimentally patrols along carnival, float, balcony, veranda, terrace.